Stephen, so there's a story, but then how do you structure like, how do you go from this story to that story? Like, when do you transition? When is it time to switch? And then how do you move on to the sales part without it being salesy? Is that like, is that the crux of the matter? Okay. So the first thing you need for clarity on your structure as to what you say and how you say it and when, to make people feel like doing what you want them to, which is you want them to buy your stuff, click, swipe, download, or stop polluting the ocean, whatever you want them to do. The first thing you need, well, you got to be clear on who you're speaking to, which is, you got this already. Now you know, okay, I'm speaking to these people, moms in Cincinnati over 45 into Pilates. You don't speak to them the same way as you speak as a bunch of bros, 18-year-old bros into gym and testosterone. Okay? So what do you want them to do? First question, Stephen, what it is do you want them to do? Click on the link. You want them to book a call. You want them to fill out a form. Physically, after you've done making noises with your face, what is the action you want them to do? That's crucial. Once you know what the action you want them to do, you say, okay, if they do that, let's say they book a call and they end up buying and they go through your process. Paige, you were saying, right? There's a process, right? They're going to get something at the end. What did they get? What's the thing that they get at the end? You can call that the payoff. We can call that, in our system, we call it greater than. It's a huge payoff. What's the result at the end? Stephen, just get, if you can type it here. But you just want to make sure that, okay, you're clear on that. They're going to get fit. They're going to get healthy. They're going to get tax returns. They're going to get something. You want to know what's the payoff if they go through the end of the whole thing. Now you play the why, what else game that you play to get meaningful drivers for people. Because right now it's still too dry. There's no emotional leverage. So you play the why, what else. So if they do that, why do they want that? Why do they want, okay, why do they want that? What's that going to do for them? Internally, emotionally, physically, and the way other people see them and all. You just run through the why, what else game until you find a huge emotional driver. Think the big archetypes, the big things that were there 1,000 years ago, will be there 1,000 years from now. Impersonal, big human drivers that are always there. A lot of this stuff is impersonal. It's like persuasion algebra. But you want to have that big driver for your market, which is a turnoff for the other market. So for these people, what's the big emotional driver? Now you have it. Okay? I call it GT for greater than. That's how we call it. Because it's greater than you, greater than me, greater than them, greater than the situation. Now you ask yourself, okay, if I could give a mic to that, greater than is on stage doing the speaking, not me, not my business objectives, Paige, not me wanting to sell my membership, but the big emotional driver, the big thing. If that was giving the mic, what would that say to the audience? What does that want them to do? Not just in the moment here of clicking. You're going to get it. You're going to get into click in a second. But as a general rule in life, what does that big emotional driver already want that audience to do? Which is, by the way, this is just a way of you channeling their innate desires that they already want, regardless of you. It's the way of putting your finger on how they already think. They're already driven. If you have a, I don't know, if you have a thing about how to flip houses, a seminar, and you're speaking there, well, you know these people want wealth. They're into flip. They see real estate as a wealth vehicle. It's not because they like hammering nails or anything. Okay, so you know that the end result has to do with wealth of some sort. This is kind of the thing, a struggle because the more, feeling good. Love for themselves, naturally give to everyone else. Let's say it's self-love. Okay? So self-love is on stage. Self-love has the mic. What does self-love want these people to do? So you can say, well, this is not about me. This is not about you. This is about self-love. This is about you stopping to fill in the blank of whatever your real pains are in your market that your clients have been telling you. Now, you want them to book a call so they join your coaching program. But self-love does not care about your coaching call or your program. Self-love cares about the audience, which is what the audience cares about. So you have deep emotional alignment already between what they want and what you want when you speak like that. So I say it's not talking about big ideas, it's not talking of big ideas, it's talking as big ideas. You embody that and you speak to that. Now, whatever it is that in your market, as you're listening to this, your big idea wants the market to do, the market already wants that, but they're not doing it, right? They're not doing that. So why are they not doing that? This is going to give you the objections as to why they won't do the thing they want to do, why they won't do the thing they know they should be doing. Why not? And then you uncover a deeper level, a deeper layer of objections that your audience has. And these objections are non-personal and have nothing to do with you or your business. So when you start speaking to the fact that these people want to do something and they're not doing it because X, Y, and Z, and your talk, your story structures is about shifting these three objections of X, Y, Z as to why they're not doing what they already want to do, guess what happens? They move towards your thing. And it just so happens that the first step in doing what that big thing wants them to do happens to be clicking on the link, booking a call, or speaking with you. That makes sense, Stephen? Yeah. So that's the direction. Now, how do you structure it to get there? Well, once you know these objections are, take them one at a time and destroy them. Annihilate them. Depending on the time you have, you might not have time to do all three, but you take one objection and you sandwich it between two stories. How do you choose that? They said the objection is, no, I'm afraid of losing control. Let's say that's one of the things they have. Okay. Well, when was a time in your life, one of your clients' life, or a very popular movie or real story, you don't need to memorize or make up. It's a real thing that you know, that this story baked in. You don't have to fake it. You don't have to prove it. The story has the elements. You just tell the damn thing. Okay, pick one like that. Okay, I got this story. You say like, oh yeah, the thing with my grandma, whatever. There's a grandma story about this, about losing control. When you tell your grandma story, it moves people from afraid of losing control to realizing that control was illusionary anyway. And they did not ever have any control. It was only a figure of speech. And now they're freer because they let that thing go, whatever the thing is. But that story has a from to element. It's from this to that. One story, Stephen, ain't gonna make you a millionaire. Let's go with a second story. Same thing. From this to that, hitting the objection from a different angle. You got one shooting here, one shooting there. Bang, 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 bang. Done. This objection is about to die. It's on the floor like a fish like this on the floor. And then you drop in a money shot. What's a money shot? This is where you take out a prop. This is where you drop out the stat. This is where you have them do an exercise of self-love in the room. This is where you have a thing, a device. You bring in someone for a demo. But now, the stories serve as pre-framing hypnotic devices, pre-framing hypnotic story-selling devices, pre-framing conversational hypnosis framing devices to prepare them to have the experience be deeper when you drop the money shot that completely obliterates the objection standing in the way of them doing what they already want to do, regardless of you. Hope that makes sense. Do this 3 times in a row, and there's no more obstacles between their innate internal drive to want to do that and your call to action. So this is how you increase your conversion rates, increase your buy-in, and increase your sales all at once, just by telling stories. And just because you were here today, you're getting this for free. It's going to be, let me just give you the link now. Click on the thing. It's called the Instant Charismatic Talk Generator. Follow the steps, fill in the blanks, and you're going to know how to tell your stories, in what order, how to make your money shot, to make people feel like doing what you want them to, so you increase your income, impact, and influence. Cool? Let me give you that now.